Batman, Arkham City Part 5, The Wonder of It All. Gotham City, New Jersey, January 18th, 2021. After Batman was finished with the museum and finished taking on the Society of Shadows elite guards, he had traced one of the female ninjas to the area of the steel mill. And the steel mill was now heavily guarded, as Joker's men now were on possession of assault rifles, and Batman had to be very careful how he tread. Well, he had reached the area where the tracer led him to. It was a massive hole, and there were several armed men standing guard, and a couple of them were talking, mentioning how one of them was attacked by a female ninja who cut his assault rifle in two with her sword, and also how she cut his face with the same sword. As Batman was standing on an old broken gas line above, watching the men and planning how he's going to get in there, he gets on the communicator and says to Alfred,
"Batcave, come in. I'm going underground. I'm going to need you to boost the signal of the tracer."
And Alfred says over the communicator, "Yes, sir, doing it right now. And do remember, sir, as you're going into a sewer, remember who cleans your suits." Batman lets out a slight smile and acknowledges, and then he leaps off the pipe and glides towards a massive hole. As he was over the hole, then he dives in like a dive bomber, going fast. Soon he lands softly in some yucky sewer water and begins to trudge through the sewers. As Batman was going through, he passes by a barred off area. Further ahead beyond the bars was just a brick wall. Nothing impressive, but what happened next frightened the life out of Batman, as a familiar figure plowed through the brick wall, and the only thing that stopped him were the bars ahead. It was Killer Croc, and he says to Batman,
"You are not welcomed here."
And Batman says to Killer Croc,
"I'm not here to fight you, Croc. Let me pass."
And Killer Croc says to Batman,
"There's something different about you. Your scent. You smell like death. It's only a matter of time. Then I will feast on your corpse."
And with that threat, Killer Croc turns around and walks through the hole in the wall that he made and vanishes into the darkness. Batman continued on until he reached an area that was starting to look strange. It looked like old buildings that were buried a long time ago in different stages of decay. He could hear some voices down there, voices of the Joker's men, talking to each other, talking about the orders that the Joker gave them. Soon, Batman reached an area that had bizarre structures down there. Batman quickly deduced that he was at the foundation of Wonder Tower, and there, Joker's men were all there, armed with semi-automatics, patrolling. Batman could see in detective mode there was a young woman in medical uniform who was hostage. So Batman did his usual thing. He stealthily takes out the first of the armed men, but after Batman put him out cold, the man had a heart monitor that went off when his heart rhythm dropped below a certain beat per minute, and the men were quickly alerted. Batman had to act fast, and he quickly took out these men one by one before they can all start getting trigger happy. Afterwards, Batman grabs the young hostage and grapples to safety with her, and she says to Batman,
"Thank you."
And Batman asked her,
"What are you doing in Arkham City?"
and the woman says with shock in her voice,
"I'm in Arkham City? What the hell am I doing here? I was grabbed outside the hospital I intern at. They drugged me, and I woke up in a building up there."
Then Batman explains to her,
"The person in charge was rounding up doctors to try to fix the Joker. It looks like you were unlucky."
and the woman says to Batman,
"He's dying, right?"
and Batman answers her,
"It seems that way."
and the woman says to Batman,
Is it wrong not to feel bad about that? What now?
Batman gives the woman some instructions.
"Stay here, keep out of sight, and I'll be right back."
After Batman leaves a woman, he gets on the communicator and he tells Oracle on his theory how the Joker was not stealing weapons from Strange, but in fact that Strange was giving him the weapons, that Strange was probably interested in who runs the streets. Of course, Oracle was expressing doubt on Batman's theories, but she went along with it. Finally, Batman reached the door of a area called Wonder City. It had a big sign on it that said Wonder City. And soon Batman's mind drifted back to the pages of history as he saw the sign. Wonder City. It all made sense. The ruined buildings that he was walking through. He had found the ruins of the fabled city. He remembered from history. Wonder City, a city that was built on what is now Tricorner Island. Once Tricorner Island in the late 1800s was named Wonder Island. And he remembered the stories that a man from Africa came and offered the Gotham City Council a king's ransom worth of gold if he could purchase that island. Then Batman remembers the history as it goes. Once the island was purchased, this man, whose real name was not known to history, but he went by an alias, and the name of his alias was Arcady Duval, and he had broke ground on Wonder City. Wonder City was built within 5.5 years. It was to be a place for all blacks in America to come, and many who would migrate to America to come there and find safe haven. And it worked. For years, that area was prosperous, full of great technological innovations and great wealth. And as a testament to what they accomplished, Batman remembered another chapter history, the construction of Wonder Tower. Wonder Tower, which was now being used as the base of operation for Hugo Strange, was built to rival the Eiffel Tower in Paris. This beautiful work of Art Nouveau towered 1,100 feet. It was a hair bigger than the Eiffel Tower and 100 feet smaller than Amusement Tower. Construction began in 1903 and it was finished in 1905 and opened a few weeks later. And Batman then was saddened as he remembered the next chapter of Wonder City's history, its destruction. In 1910, like most black cities in America, it was completely destroyed by an angry mob. Really, the military too was involved. The official excuse was that a mysterious plague had begun to affect the city, and to prevent its spread, they quickly sterilized the area by laying waste to Wonder City. But over the years, modern historians believed that this was just an excuse for jealous whites to level such a prosperous black city within Gotham City. And over the years, Gotham City spread into Wonder Island and built over the ruins of Wonder City. The only thing left of Wonder City is Wonder Tower, a monument to the great city that once was, but now is buried underneath Gotham. Well, Batman entered through the door into a hallway. As he entered into that hallway, suddenly there was a massive door in front of him blocking his way, and then he started to feel sick. And he could hear a recording playing overhead talking about doom and gloom. The recording was starting to get distorted in his head as he was starting to get violently ill and begun to puke blood.
This world is doomed. Cities like Gotham will grow to resemble hell breaking through the sidewalk, continuing up into the sky. Structures will grow to blot out the sun. The people who live in them will be choked by the pollution they create. Eventually, when no...
After puking blood, Batman struggles to regain his composure. He gets up and fumbles over to a switch. He pulls the switch and electric sparks fly out, and the massive door opens, revealing a hallway full of hanging bodies and one Joker goon that was coming towards Batman.
This world will die, struggling for breath as man's mistakes nail the coffin shut. But this doesn't have to be your future.
The Joker goon fell down dead in front of Batman, and Batman could see a giant ninja sword in his back. He was definitely near where the female ninja was. Batman looked above where all the bodies were hanging. There were different inmates, some wearing the Blackgate jumpsuits, some wearing the Arkham Asylum jumpsuits, and just other miscreants who were put in there. And all of them seemed to have the same cause of death. Their throats were slit. Well, Batman then went through the other door. As soon as Batman entered the next hallway, suddenly there was a puff of smoke and several female ninjas appeared. They attacked Batman, but Batman made short work of them. Afterwards, he hit another switch on the wall, and that door opened, and then he was inside what seemed to be what remained of the old downtown section of Wonder City. The shops there were in better shape than the areas outside where he was at. For some of the shops, display windows still had what was on display before the tragic incident, now covered in cobwebs. It was a beautiful historical curiosity of a world long gone as Batman wandered through. Batman can see in the center a massive door with decorations all over it and a staircase. Batman walked up to it and he tries to open the door, but it was locked. There had to be a way in, he figured. Then Batman turned behind him to look, and he sees a creepy-looking robot that was laying on the ground with its eyes glowing. Batman remembers learning about these things. The Wonder City Guardians. They were robots supposedly built to protect the city. They were creepy-looking, yes, but Batman admired the beautiful Art Nouveau style to them. And Batman wondered if these things were still working. He goes over to the one that he was looking at that was laying on the ground. Batman scans it with his detective mode to reveal that the technology inside was way ahead of anything that was available when these robots were built in the turn of the 20th century. As he scanned it, then he looked for one that was still operational. He saw one in the display case that was diagonally away from the giant double doors. Batman went up to it, and bingo, it was still working. He opened the display case and looked around the robot to see if there was anything that it could play its recording back. Eventually, Batman stumbled upon a small control panel behind the robot's abdomen. Batman sees a small row of buttons, and he just randomly pressed one button, and bingo, a panel hidden behind the robot's face in the area that would be the nose reveals itself, and a projector comes out and begins playing a playback of what the robot saw. Batman watches in amazement as he sees that the image was showing that the female ninja went to a hidden panel behind the wall to activate some sort of control that opened the door. After he saw that, then the robot's projector stopped playing. So Batman walks up to the panel that he saw. He feels around until he finds a false brick. He pushes in the brick, and the entire wall lowers down, revealing what looked like a keyhole, but upon closer inspection, this keyhole was not for a normal key. It was to fit a sword inside. Then a female ninja appeared, frightening Batman, but Batman quickly made short work of her and took her sword. Then Batman puts the sword in the slot and twists the sword like a key, but instead of the giant doors opening, a hidden wall next to the keyhole opened up, revealing a secret passage. Batman must have did it wrong, but either way, he opened some sort of door, and then he walked into the secret passage. As he was walking through the secret passage, Batman could hear over the Tiger Communications Hugo Strange saying that Protocol 10 was going to commence in 4 hours. Batman wondered what in the world was Protocol 10, and time seemed to be running out. He had to hurry. So Batman reaches the end of the passage and sees a ladder. He climbs up the ladder and opens a sewer lid, and Batman climbs out to see another section of city streets. But as soon as he emerged, suddenly he was overcome with another weakness and he collapsed onto the ground. Then, as if he was dying, he could hear the voice of his parents and he saw a white light ahead and he could see the shadowed silhouettes of his parents in the white light calling him.
Bruce, you can hear me, can't you? You need to step into the light. Your father and I are waiting. We missed you so much. You have to do it. We need you to do it, Bruce.
Soon the vision was gone, and what was the voice of his mother began to turn into the desperate plea of Oracle, saying, Bruce! Bruce, wake up! Are you there? Your vitals, they're in free fall. Batman gets up, and he says to Oracle,
How long do I have?
Oracle says to him over the communicator, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You may have just minutes left. But it didn't concern Batman, as Batman saw a giant double door ahead. Batman went to that double door. It looked like the entryway of some huge temple. It even had the Arabian floral style patterns on the door. He knew he was on the right track. As Batman walked towards it, suddenly he was clutching his stomach in pain and he began coughing. With another bout of exhaustion, Batman falls to his knees. Then the female ninja returned with a friend, and she says to Batman,
You should have listened to my warning. There are no friends to save you down here.
Suddenly, a female voice is heard in the distance saying, Stop! Then the female ninjas back down, and they stand straight. Batman gets up and he starts standing straight, and then he could see a familiar figure walking towards him. It was Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Clad in black decorative leather armor, she comes up to Batman and slaps Batman across the face hard. After the slap, Batman says,
Hello, Talia.
And then she says angrily to Batman, How did you find us? And Batman responds back,
I recognized your personal guard. It was a simple trick of finding her.
Then Batman pulls out his pumped-up computer from his utility belt and activates the tracer on the ninja he was tailing. Talia hears the noise of the beep, and she walks over, and the ninja nervously says,
Please, mistress, he tricked me.
Talia says sternly to the female ninja, Leave. I will deal with you later. The female ninja bows her head in shame and walks off. Then Talia turns around to Batman and says, You didn't need to get yourself arrested, Bruce. After that night we spent together in New York City. Then she pauses and says to Bruce, You could have called. And then Batman says to her,
I'm not here for you. I'm here for your father. If he's dead, I need you to wake him up for me.
And Talia says to Batman, Only a true successor can appear before the great Ra's al Ghul. My father always intended us to be together, to command his armies. As she was saying that, she was walking around Batman, getting closer to him. And then she says as she got very close to Batman, Imagine, beloved, you and me, a better world. Then she walks up to Batman and pulls off the top part of his cowl to see that his face was horrible. He was really dying. She quickly backs away from him in shock, and Batman quickly pulls his cowl back down over his face, and Talia says in horror, Your face! What happened? But Batman only responds back with,
I'm here to take my place by your side.
And Talia says with suspicion, Why should I trust you? What's with the sudden change of heart? And Batman says to her,
Believe me, you see my face. I don't have a choice.
Then Talia says to Batman, So be it, beloved, but remember, you have to pass the demon trials in order to see Ra's al Ghul. And Batman says to her,
I'm ready. Take me to the trials.
Then Talia wraps her left arm around Batman's right arm and guides him to the room of the demon trials. As they walked, Batman sees that the floor lowered to reveal a spiral staircase. As Talia was guiding him, she was giving him instructions on what to do during the trials. Soon they reach a wooden door, and Talia says to Batman, "This is as far as I can go," she says to him. "Now it's up to you, beloved. Let's see if you win or not." And then she walks back up the stairs. Batman opens the door and closes the door behind him. It was just a simple room, no decorations, nothing. There in the center of the room was a table with a giant ornate chalice with bubbling liquid and some smoke coming out of it. Batman hears the voice of Ra's al Ghul saying, "So, you want to take the demon trials, detective?" And he says, "The first step, detective, is to drink the demon's blood." Batman goes up to the table, grabs the chalice, and downs all the liquid inside the chalice. After he was done, a hallucination had begun as the entire room broke away and all the debris was floating in a bizarre desert full of floating debris from Arkham City. Batman wandered through the bizarre desert as the voice of Ra's al Ghul laughs and says, "Congratulations, detective, you took the first step. You drank the demon's blood. Now you must face your worst nightmares," he said. Suddenly, Batman was facing phantoms as he was fighting them off with hand-to-hand combat. After he was finished, suddenly a sword appeared in front of him, buried in the sand. Batman picks up the sword, and suddenly the sand moves around him, forming into armed men with swords too, and Batman was forced to take him on, and he demonstrated his prowess with the sword as he defeated all the sword-wielding sand phantoms. Then Ra's al Ghul says, "Excellent, detective. I never doubted your ability to fight, but now the next phase of the test," says Ra's, "I shall test your physical prowess." Then the desert began changing shape, and soon a massive obstacle course appeared before Batman. Batman, of course, tackled this obstacle course, and the voice of Ra's says, "Excellent, detective. It's now time for the final phase of your test. I shall see how you perform mentally." And then the desert began shifting again, and soon Batman was confronted with a very complex puzzle that he was able to solve. And then Ra's al Ghul says, "Excellent, Batman, you have passed the demon trials." Suddenly the hallucination ended, and Batman was back in the room. Everything seemed normal. Batman walked through the wooden door and he walked up the staircase, but this time the staircase was full of Talia's personal guard, and they all drew their sword in salute to Batman since he passed the test. As he made his way back up the stairs, Talia says, "Congratulations, beloved. I knew you would pass with flying colors," she said with a big smile on her face. Plus, Batman noticed that whatever he drank completely restored his strength, his vitality, but it was only temporary. It may have bought him several more additional hours before he started dying again. Well, Talia now guided Batman to the area where Ra's al Ghul was at. It was a massive chamber with a lot of electrical equipment in there, and there Batman saw the familiar green glow of the Lazarus Pit. There was a Lazarus Pit in Wonder City, and then it all dawned on Batman. Arcady Duvall, the mysterious African, it was Ra's al Ghul over 100 some odd years ago who came to Gotham City and started Wonder City. Batman sees Ra's al Ghul standing by the Lazarus Pit. He was badly emaciated, and as Ra's al Ghul turned around to look at Batman, Batman noticed that Raz's face was starting to look like that of a rotting corpse. And then Batman says to Ra's al Ghul,
You don't look good, Raz.
and Ra's al Ghul says, "Well, detective, my time is drawing nigh, and now you must finish the task. Kill me and take your place by my daughter. Both of you must run the Society of Shadows." And then Batman says to Ra's,
No, Raz, I'm not going to do it. I didn't come here to kill you and take my place by your daughter's side. I came here for your blood, but I'm not going to take your blood that kind of way.
says Batman to Ra's. Then Ra's says, So be it. I know how you want to take my blood. Then Ra's al Ghul grabs the second sword and throws it at Batman's foot. And then Ra's straightens himself up, outstretches his arms, and falls backwards into the green bubbling liquid of the Lazarus pit. Suddenly, the bubbling of the Lazarus pit began emanating and shooting electricity that was powering up the mysterious machines in the chamber, and even a bolt of lightning struck the top of Wonder Tower. Then Ra's al Ghul jumps out of the Lazarus pit, his eyes glowing red, and he pulls out his sword and he says, "So, detective, you wanna take me down in battle? That is the hallmark of a true noble warrior. Never to take his enemy down when he's at his lowest, always when his enemy's is strongest." Batman then grabs the sword and engages Ra's al Ghul in sword combat. The two men, both revitalized from the brink of death with great strength. The two men were now evenly matched. But Batman tricked Ra's al Ghul in combat. As he was going to let Ra's al Ghul take his head, Batman quickly ducked, and Ra's al Ghul's sword struck a transformer. The massive electric shock sent Ra's al Ghul flying back. Ra's al Ghul was now on the ground, badly weakened from that massive electric shock, and Batman walks up to him, grabs him, and puts him in a headlock, and then frees an inch from the lock to insert the syringe gun, draining some blood out of Ra's al Ghul's jugular. After he was done, he flings Ra's al Ghul back onto the ground, and he says to Ra's al Ghul,
I got what I came for, Roz. Goodbye.
Then Talia walks angrily up to Batman and she says, "I can't believe it. You used me." Batman looked back at Talia and asked Talia,
Did this Lazarus pit power Wonder City 111 years ago?
and Talia says, "Yes." And then Batman says to her,
It's a shame. Maybe you and your father should go back to creating utopias like this one once was, instead of trying to wipe out humanity.
Then Batman walks away from Talia. His next stop, the old Gotham PD substation to see Mr. Freeze. Like and subscribe, the end.